I would like to invite Shaleena and Manjiri to the stage and share. I want you to come here and share your journey, and we'll start the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Monica. Before we start, I'd just like to acknowledge the fact that our first-time author today, Shaleena, has quite a force to reckon with. She's got her entire family in one room, and it's great to have them. And it's very easy to introduce an author saying she's done this, but it's wonderful that an author has first identified herself as a mom. The reason for the book is that she's mom, right? So her first role is mom. The second, she said, her father is here, so she's a daughter. She's a sister-in-law. She is a sister as well. She's a wife, of course. The husband wants to, pitch and say she's a wife as well, and he features quite prominently in the book. And he's good, so that works too. And she's also a full-time working professional, apart from everything else. So I'm now just going to ask her the first question. Apart from being all of these lovely things and a first-time author, what are the top 3 things you'd like the audience to know about you?
I'm actually a second-time author. This is my second book.
Okay.
But my first book was it was lots of different authors that contributed, and I think that's when I first got really excited about writing. And I thought, oh wow, at some point I would love to write a book that's just my own. But yeah, my name's Shaleena Chowdhary. Oh,
okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
My name's Shaleena Chowdhary. I was Shaleena Anand. I'm a mum. Number 1 profession. I'm also deputy head of 2 special needs schools as well, so quite a full-on career, which I love and is really exciting, but very different to writing and very different to being a mum. What else should I say about myself? I'm a wife, sometimes, a daughter, but you kind of forget all of those things once you become a new mum. We were actually just having that conversation on the train up here, saying it's hard to separate yourself from being a mum. Even on the way up here, I was talking about Dylan and I wonder if he's going to be okay and what's he going to eat. And my husband was like, this day is about you. This is about your book and things like that. I wrote this book because I suffered from quite intense postnatal, but I didn't actually realize it at the time. I think postnatal comes in lots of different forms, and the only real one that's spoken about is the mother doesn't love the child, and that's postnatal. And I didn't have that experience at all. I was unhealthily in love with my son. I still am, but I just had really high functioning anxiety, to the point that if he missed a nap, or if it wasn't long enough, or if it was too short, or whatever it was, I would start to cry, and I thought I'd failed as a mother, and everything had to be exactly as it was. And when you're in the thick of it as a new mum, you don't really realise. You just think, oh, this is what it's supposed to be, and we're just surviving. But then, as I've come away from it, I think I can look back and see, actually, no, there wasn't something right there. And yeah, I wrote the book because I couldn't even watch TV. It was that intense. So I would get into bed. I wrote the whole book on my phone, get into bed, and then I'd just start to write. And it started as a book to Dylan. So it was 365 Ways I Love You to my son. And then I quickly realized that actually it wasn't Dylan that needed to hear that, because he got that a lot. He's first grandchild on not both sides, but almost on both sides. And, he gets a lot of love. And actually I started to realize that I needed a bit of love. So it was almost all the things that had upset me during the day, or that I felt anxious about, I would write a note to myself about what I wished maybe somebody had said to me, or I had said to myself that day. And then it just went on from there. And then with the help of Hector and Monica, I wrote anecdotes of things that had happened, because we sat for dinner for hours the first time I met them, and I was telling them my story and my journey, and they were saying this is really, this material is gold, we need to write this as part of the book. So yeah, that's how the book took form.
Thank you. Well, that deserves an applause, definitely, for being here and saying all of that with such courage. Next thing is I'm Manjiri Gokhale Joshi, and one of my books is outside, but I won't introduce myself anymore, but I'm also a mom, but my daughter is 26 years old. So that's a very, very long time ago. And the reason I'm bringing this up is I'm actually going to moderate another session, thanks to Ekta and Monica, this afternoon at 3:30 p.m. And that's about a mom as well. But it's very, very different, a very, very different experience. And I was having a chat with the author of that, Aarti. And the book is about her grandmother and how the grandmother in the early 1940s in India had 10 children, and she really didn't have the choice whether to have 10 children or not. So it's a very different book. We'll talk about it then. But I'm looking at that experience. I'm looking at my experience as a mother of a 26-year-old, child born in India many years ago, and someone here who had a child last year here. And that is a lot of difference. And there is the difference really is, if you liken motherhood or parenting in general, to a much larger picture of the world, and if you actually liken it to leadership, one of my favorite topics, leadership. It is leadership, right? There is a pack of leaders, a bunch of leaders bringing up one child and taking that child to somewhere they might want to go, or you want to sort of propel them to somewhere. And in this journey, I want to go back to my 26-year-old experience. And as I was reading her book, I said, did this happen? Did that happen? Maybe it did. Some of it did. Maybe some of it didn't. And most of it didn't. I'm pleased to tell you most of it didn't, but some of it did. But the experiences of parents, and some, people here may not be parents, but they might have animals. They might be looking after something else. Right? They might be looking after animals, which is as good as parenting, because you're feeling for the animal, you're feeling something. And it's always about someone else. Right? So why I'm going back to leadership is the responsibility, and everything Shaleena describes in the book is not just about Shaleena's journey, but the journey of all these people in so many ways. Because in a way, not just looking after Dylan, the young man who was going to be very proud, there was a book after him, but all of you looking after Shaleena as well, right? So that is what leadership is about, and that is what the parenting and leadership, why I bring it back, is it's like the Indian joint family, and you are pretty much like the Indian joint family, right? Where there are 8 or 10 people, all giving their own thing to the little child, just like elephants do, right? So I'm going to come back to what Shaleena has written about, and something which, especially in India and in the Indian culture, is not so well acknowledged. That do you really have a choice of not loving a child? Or do you actually have a choice of thinking at that time that I'm not feeling good? Right? Because the pressure of, now it's all about this little one, because till last night it was all about you, because you were the carrier of the little one. And now suddenly it's about the little one who is now a detached soul, and you're one of the carers now. You don't need to be cared for. So I think, what we really need to applaud is Shaleena's attempt at first, being so candid, so honest, saying, no, this really happened. This really happened, and there might be a lot of people in the room or outside who say, who don't have the courage to say it happened to me, but she said it. So a round of applause really for her to first say it. Thank you for saying it on behalf of many other people. And my question to her, this one, is really about what makes it so real. Among the many things she says in the book, there is one particular incident when she's talking about how she had to be taken to hospital in an ambulance. And that makes it really real, because every time somebody says, no, this is all, it's just in your mind, it's not really real what you went through. But the fact that, she had to actually be taken away in an ambulance while she was mom. Would you like to talk to us about the experience of before and after, and how that really makes it real and makes people gets people to believe that what you went through was so real?
Yeah, so it's quite hard because I don't actually really talk about Dylan arriving in the hospital, because it's still quite intense for me. And I've even written, one of the anecdotes in the book is about our first night in the hospital, and just how intense I felt, not even the pain, but the emotional side of it. I'm quite a people pleaser in general. So then my whole mind was is my husband okay? Is he sleeping? Oh no, he needs to feed again. And then I'm having to wake somebody else up, and I should be able to do this on my own. And why can't I do this on my own? Which obviously isn't real, because I had a C-section as well. So I couldn't even stand up. But that people-pleasing aspect, which a lot of Asian women have, of like everybody else comes first and I need to be a good wife and daughter and whatever it is. I was like, oh no, like I'm not doing my duty as a wife because I keep waking him up, because like I couldn't even really see or speak because of all like the drugs they had me on. And I felt like I was going to drop Dylan and that side of it. And then my healing process when we got home wasn't great. So as part of it in the book as well, we had to go back into hospital, and I was in so much pain. I had to be on like gas and air and walk to the hospital. But even to get to the point of when they would come to collect me from the ambulance, they wouldn't come, would they? They were like, no, like, that whole thing of, I don't know whether it's like a stereotypical thing of race or whether it's just a new mum is just supposed to get on with it, but they don't really believe you when you say, no, something is wrong and it's not as it should. They're like, you'll be fine. They said, you can make your way in if you need to. And I was like, I can't walk. It was so intense that we had to put like a bucket by the bed at one point, because I was like, I'm not going to be able to stand up to get to the bathroom. And we had to basically fight for them to come. Then when they did come, I was in so much pain I couldn't take Dylan with me. And then I had a lot of like anxiety and trauma, I guess, around not being able to breastfeed him, because I was away from him for, I think it was like 20 hours or something like that. So it was kind of like the beginning of the end of my breastfeeding journey, which is absolutely fine. You don't have to breastfeed, like loads of people bottle feed, and that's amazing. But I think it was just that pressure that I put on myself of like, again, I'm not good enough. I can't do the thing that I'm supposed to do. And, you have this whole idea in your head of like how your birth and your postpartum is going to go. And like nobody, especially in the Asian community, nobody explains how hard it is. Actually, I think my mum kept saying like, I need to be at the hospital with you. And I was like, no, like it's going to be me and Kush, and it's going to be this like romantic thing. And she kept saying like, I just hang around. And I was like, no. Then like, I think 3 hours out of surgery, I was like, get my mum. I need my mum. But yeah, it's hard. And then people come, obviously like Asian community, everyone wants to come to see the baby. I was like, I can't have a conversation right now. Like people would come over and I would just like cry whilst they were there, or Kush would find me in the other room and I'd just be like crying on the bed, and he was like, what's wrong? I was like, I don't know, I just need to cry. So all these things that nobody talks about. And then once you have the baby, everyone's like, yeah, that same thing happened to me. I'm like, why didn't you tell me? Because if I knew, I could have maybe prepared myself a bit more around it. And everyone's like, day 3, when it gets to day 3, it's the worst day. Why did no one tell me? They're like, why did no one tell me that day 3 is a thing, that your hormones are everywhere? And then obviously people come to hold the baby, and you just think like, in my head, what's going on? And I think there's an anecdote about that as well, is like, have they washed their hands? The perfume, like I remember Dylan was like coughing once and I was like, the perfume is choking him. But you can't say any of this out loud because you sound like ridiculous, but it feels so intense to you, and you just want them near you, and it's just intense. And I think there should be more conversations openly around it without the stigmatism of you did something wrong and that's why you felt like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Thank you, Shaleena, for being so honest about it. I could see many people nodding in the audience at various points. And what does that really tell you? And that's something which hit me about the book, is that everyone's experience is different. I mean, some of it is common, but what everyone feels as a mom and dad both at different times could be completely different. And I'm bringing it back to the other book in the afternoon, which is a completely different experience, my own experience. So many moms and dads and people here, completely different. And this is really about acknowledging that being different is all right? Feeling like it's okay for, getting someone into the room and saying, okay, you want to love my baby and you want to say hi to my baby, it's fine. Or someone else panicking, saying, have they washed their hands? Or, in a lot of times in the Indian context is, yes, I'm here to love your baby. Of course I washed my hands. Why are you asking me that questions? And all of that. It's fine to be different. And I think where the pain is really is to be judged by someone else. What is right for them. Right? So if everything Shaleena has described in the book is about someone else's window, saying this is the right way to do it. You should feel like this on day 1, day 2, day 3, and day 10 and all of that. And I'm sure a lot of people here, if you talk to them, offline, will tell you something different. I was like, that's fine. It's okay. It's okay to be there. So I think in a way, what she's given us is a very soft and gentle, assurance that it's okay. It's absolutely okay to be what you are. On that note, I'm going to ask the audience for your questions, and then we'll go back to 1 or 2 more from me. Would anyone in the audience like to ask us, Shaleena, a question or have a comment on? Yes, please.
So when I read my daughter's book,
Okay.
I actually did cry quite a few places, not because of what she had written, but how much of that I went through. I know you're saying about different. I don't think it's about different. I think it's about how much we didn't speak about it. A lot of us were in joint families, and you did get on with it. I've got 3 children. By the time the second came, the first didn't get what she needed, and the second didn't even get a look in. Because it isn't about being different. It is about the lack of awareness. We don't talk about it. She's right. I didn't even tell her. I didn't tell her what the birth was like. I knew what she may have to go through. So the only question I have for Shaleena today, 16 months later, would you really tell somebody everything, a young mother to be? Would you really?
That's a good question. I think I would, I had friends that were due like quite soon after me, and I think I just said things like, make sure you have your mum or like, someone that can help, or make sure you prepare. Like I wish we had like prepared who was going to bring food on what day, and these little things you kind of just nudge them in the right direction of make sure you have help, make sure people are there to support you, because it can be, and I'm sure like lots of people have the fairy tale situation, but it can also be very hard. Yeah, I think it's the overwhelm of you, like you said, you have this like thing that you were just, well, my experience was I had this thing that I was infatuated with, and I felt like I wasn't good enough. And I think a lot of new mums, whatever it is, that insecurity that you have in your own life pre being a mum, it almost comes out when you have your baby, and then it's like a demon that you have to face.
Right. Yes. Would you like the mic? Yes.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. If you'd like to identify.
My name is Francesca. Shaleena, I want to commend you on the point you made about why didn't anyone tell me? And I know you said something meaningful. You said something meaningful about it's different for everyone. But what resonated to me is the fact that that is such a great political point. It's something that for many women is a reality. And I'm talking about the lived experience of women, not necessarily that of giving birth, right? So
Yeah.
I want to commend you for that. Thank you for making it. My question really is, how are you now?
Nice question. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Do you want to answer that? Yes. Yes. Of course.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Yeah, I'm a lot better now. And like I said, I think when I was in it, I didn't really realise, or even like I laugh now because the health visitor that comes, she just kept coming back. And I was like asking my friends that had babies as well, I was like, has your health visitor, does she keep coming back? And they were like, no, she signed us off weeks ago. And I was like, why does she keep coming back? But she obviously realised. But even that, I'm like, people are worried to say, like, by the way, you might have postnatal depression. It was all very like hush and things like that. But yeah, I'm doing much better now. And I just want to help like new mums who might be in the same situation, whatever it is that their postnatal looks like.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Anita, and yes, I would second this lovely lady sitting next to me. What you did was commendable. we go through a lot, but we don't always talk about it. And yes, it is okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
And we all need to appreciate that. My question to you is, now, would this whole roller coaster ride, I call it roller coaster, I haven't read your book yet, would that deter you from becoming a mum again?
Very good question. Very good question.
That's a very good question. I think every day is different. So I think because of my experience, for the last 16 months, I've been like, we say one and done. So we're like one and done, that's us. I think the experience has been quite intense. So I'm not in a rush to go again. But whatever God has in store for me, he has in store for me. Because that's how it happened with Dylan. So if it happens like that again, then yeah.
By the way, this was a question from a mom who has 3 kids herself.
Yeah.
And all 3 are C-sections.
Yeah.
So every
Wow.
time I said no, and I had another one. So,
Well, I was like, before I had Dylan, I was like, we went to a hypnobirthing class. I was like, I'm going to get in the water. And I was a yoga and a meditation teacher before in another lifetime ago. But when I was younger, so I'm very into that side of things. I was like, I'm going to breathe this baby out. And I listened to the affirmations every night. And then it was like, had a C-section. It was like, had the epidural 12 times, I think they couldn't get it in. And it was all like very different to what I thought it would be. But my answer is like, yeah, whatever God has in plan for me. Ride the roller coaster.
Excellent question and excellent answer. I think, yes, Ani, or yes, Ani, and then the lady behind you.
It's good there are many questions.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes, please.
My
Yes.
name is Shaleena Chowdhary. And thank you, Shaleena, for giving this book. It looks amazing. I haven't read it yet. Of course, my really question to you is that going through it, do you intend to write addition to this? Because as you move along, being a mom actually comes in different guises. So that's my first question. And because this new mother's anxiety is quite normal, and we are never told about this. And in fact, you're lucky to have a healthy baby. There's a whole lot of pressures come in, which is also to do with our traditions, especially within Asian community. So there is a lot to talk about. There's layers of expectations to produce a son as opposed to producing a daughter, and all that connotation that comes, that anxiety that comes with it. So well done, and all the best. And I wish you better motherhood.
Do you want to say anything? Otherwise, Ani's got a question.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I think we'll just have Ani's question. Ani, you had a question, yeah.
I'll stand.
Yeah.
Hi Shaleena.
Hi.
Good afternoon. My name is Aniruddha. I have no experience of motherhood, so I'll skip that one. It's okay. I want to ask the question the author in you. Congratulations for committing Dylan's stories into paper, because stories change the world, and I hope it does. My question is, what ink and paper has been written inside you during writing this book, before, during, after? How is your own story internally changed? And I'm more keen to know that.
That's a good question.
Does it make sense?
Yeah. That was a good question. So I think what you're asking me is, has putting it down in pen and paper, has that changed how I view? Yeah, I think it's really therapeutic. And I think, like, especially my generation, a lot of us are in therapy, go to therapy, we talk about it quite frankly. And I think one of the therapeutic techniques that people use is that they say if you struggle with speaking out your emotions, you should write them. And I know, like, when I've had therapy in the past, they've said, like, just get a diary and write it out. And I love to write anyway. It's something I've loved since I was younger. And I've always dreamt of being an author of, like, my own book. So I think it was like a therapy for me. I struggled to do anything that wasn't to do with Dylan's naps or walks or eating. It was like I just couldn't process it. People would be talking to me at like a gathering or something, and I would actually have to say to them, sorry, I actually can't hear what you're saying, because it's like alarm bells go off in your head and you're just thinking about your child and things like that. That was my experience. But I think writing it was very therapeutic for me, and then finding someone like Hector and Monica to be like, actually, this is really interesting and this is a story that lots of people could resonate with. It almost like solidifies or gives you that acceptance of like, actually, it was okay. It's kind of like getting a hug from the universe where you're like, actually, that happened to me and it was real and it is okay. So yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any last question from the audience?
Yes.
Well done, Shaleena, very proud of you. As your last statement today, what is your advice to expectant mums or women who haven't had baby? What would your pearls of wisdom be?
Thank you. So I think that's a really good question. What would my advice to new mums or people who are expecting be? I think that's the reason that I put 365 ways, because there's not one thing that for every mum that fits them. And the whole point of this book was that you can kind of flip the book and then you land on a page, and whatever that page is what you needed to hear today. So I've just flipped it. And then this says, everything you do today, do it with love. So then maybe that's what that mum needed for that day.
That was going to be my last question, but thank you for asking that. I just want to thank, before we invite Monica and Ekta up on stage to release the book, I wanted to thank the men in the room. Because one of the other problems and why we get here to the stage where someone like Shaleena needs to write this book and experience this journey is, especially in the Indian Asian culture, it's a women's problem. Right? For centuries, it's been a women's problem. And, it's also about the book we are going to release this afternoon, right? It's entirely, for over 10 children, the husband coolly says, now it's your problem. Everything is your problem. So from there to men not being allowed to be part of the solution. Culturally, men are just not allowed to, be part of this discussion and always shooed away and saying, you're not allowed. You're really not allowed in here. To where we are. So thank you for being in the room. And I'm going to end on a very funny note, because the one man who is allowed to be in the room is the doctor, thankfully, is part of the discussion. And my own father, he's going to turn 86 tomorrow. He's a pediatrician. And the way he's inundated by questions from mums, you can imagine, for the last 54 years. And he was in England a few years ago, and one of the counsellors in Milton Keynes, where I live, she organized this session where about 35 mums trooped in and just ask him questions, ask him what you like. Don't go to the NHS, you're asking very silly questions, but just go to him. And it was a fun thing because, he was stating the obvious a lot of times, but he was stating what your mum rightly said was never told, was never ever told to young women, because they just assume that they will know or they will remember. And, older women would say, actually, I don't remember. It was so long ago. I forgot to tell you. Right? That's where it's coming from. So what I wanted to tell you is my dad's advice to someone who called and said, my son doesn't eat, and now Dylan's going to be 18 months, right? 17 months, right? So the next thing, she had a 2-year-old child and he doesn't eat, and I spend an hour and a half just trying to feed him, and we're running all over the place and he doesn't eat and I'm following him and all of that. And my dad just, at 86, they couldn't care less, and he's a pediatrician. He said, just have another child, stop this project, start a new project. So let's end there, and let's wish you many, many more books. And like the lady out there said, if God willing and you're willing and you want them, start a new project if you wish. But wish you many, many more books, and congratulations. And let's have Ekta and Monica here. Thank you.
I don't mind. Thank you so much. That's lovely.